Hello lovely people, and welcome to another salty experience. It's yet another salty Saturday. I'm your host Anake. Thank you so much for the love and the support so far. We are still in the season, the call, but I want to know, have you been sharing Jesus to your friends, to family members, and to even strangers? Keep sharing Jesus. Today we have in our midst a prophet of God, God's own oracle, Prophet Elbernard Eshun. I'm sure you want to know so much about the prophetic and how he became a prophet and everything about the prophetic that pertains to him. Stay tuned. This is going to be an educative and interesting session. Yes, as I stated earlier, today we have the prophet of God in our midst, and we are still in the season, the call. So today is for the prophetic call. I would allow him to introduce himself.
My name is Elbernard Eshun. I'm a prophet and married to my own wife with 2 children.
Okay, so we just zoom straight into it without wasting time. So we are having the season of the call. We are going to interview the evangelists and apostles, and we decided to interview the prophets. And for the prophets, I could not choose anybody but my own pastor, my prodigal pastor. Okay, so we'll go into it. So the first question is, I hear the word a prophet, I think of somebody who speaks the mind of God, but I want to know the definition from a prophet of God.
Well, when someone sits in the office of the prophet, we are not just talking about the one who just hears the mind of God and also declares the mind of God. We are talking about someone who God has called, God has separated, God has trained, then God has commissioned the person to be the voice of revelation in the earth realm. In other words, the fact that someone can hear voices, see visions, without the person being born again, without God calling the person, and God also commissioned the person on the earth realm to be the voice of revelation, then that person is not a prophet.
Wow. So prophet, does it mean that when you were called as a man of God, did you know you were called as a prophet, or you had to go through training before you knew God had called you as a prophet?
Okay, so there is a difference between being called as a prophet and being commissioned into the office of a prophet. There are many people who mistaken the calling of the prophet to be being commissioned into the office. Between the time that God called you and the time that he sent you or set you in the office is a period of preparation. And God will use men, situations, and other things to train you. So when God called me, I started prophesying in 1999. But I sat into the office of the prophet in the year 2006.
Wow. Okay. So from 1999 to 2006, you were called into ministry, but you sat into the office as a prophet in 2006. This is when did you prophesy that you knew that I'm a prophet? What prophecy hit you?
Well, every believer has the grace to prophesy. And so from 1999, I was prophesying, and I used to prophesy deeper than this. Wow. But I was still not in the office of the prophet. It's like someone who wants to become a medical doctor and is in the 3rd year at the medical school. We all know that the person has the potential to become a medical doctor, but in the 3rd year, you are not a medical doctor. So many have sensed the call. They know, they prophesy, they can see, but still they are not in the office yet.
Wow. Okay. So the year you became a prophet, and our current generation, my generation, sorry, how different is the prophetic?
I think that in this generation, we have had the privilege of having fathers who have been able to help us with their experiences and with what they have gone through. So our generation started at a better place of doing well, not because we are anointed, because we have had the privilege of being taught, being trained by those who have gone ahead of us. When I started, there were men of God I used to look up to, and because of what they did, I'm also trying to follow the same footsteps.
Okay, so the generations ahead has helped with the prophetic. We can learn from them.
I'm a prophet because those who went ahead have taken all the insult and almost everything. So today I can call myself
easier now. Yeah. Okay, and I want to ask a question. There's a lot of banter about the prophetic. Do you think people have taken the prophetic for granted, or you think some prophets have taken the prophetic for granted?
Well, I think one of the dangerous places any prophet will come to is when he is accepted. When a prophet is accepted, there is a tendency of the prophet himself taking the people for granted. So, for example, I meet you and I begin to minister to you. I tell you A, B, C. And as long as you can confirm A, B, C, you might think that the D that I'm talking about might be from God. That's true. Yeah, so that's where I tell when a prophet is accepted, he needs to be extra careful. Then, when the people also accept the prophet, there's a tendency of taking the prophet for granted. And the problem has been that there have not been in-depth teaching on the prophetic, and that's why we have some of these issues.
Wow, okay. So my last but one question is, what advice would you give to young people who want to be prophets or who desire the call on your life?
Wow, it's a very tough question. So what I would tell them that, number one, they should know who have called them. If you know who have called you, you spend time with the one who have called you. Because without God, without His grace, no matter what you do, you will not be able to move in the prophetic. Number two, look for someone who is either a pastor or a teacher who can help you grow in the prophetic. I don't believe from my experience that when someone is a prophet, I think that the best person who can help you is either a pastor or a teacher or an apostle, or someone who is a prophet but with a proven teaching ministry. And number three, hold on to your calling. You're a prophet of God. Not everyone will accept you as a prophet, but as long as you understand that this is what God has called you to do, stay in your calling.
Okay, what advice will you give to young prophet Elbernard?
Well, I will tell them dependence, absolute dependence on the Holy Spirit is the surest way to operate in the prophetic.
Would you want to be a prophet again if you come back into life? God says, choose a call or choose a career or a profession. Would you choose the?
If there is anything I will ever want to be, is want to be a prophet of the Lord.
Please, is there any other thing you want to say? Any advice or anything?
Well, I think that we're in a generation where the prophetic is needed than any time. So if God have called you into this office or you have a prophetic calling, I will tell you, spend time with the Holy Spirit, develop this calling, for you'll be a blessing to many as you rescue many from the hands of the enemy.
Thank you very much. I told you this is going to be an educative and interesting session all about the prophetic. I hope you learned a lot, because I learned a lot. Keep following Salty TV, keep sharing Salty TV, and don't forget to share Jesus to the world. This has been an interesting Salty experience and a beautiful Salty Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.